Hey guys, this is Sarah Kent. I'm blonde Asian and I like to tell stories. So today's story is about the time that I was able to join the Screen Actors Guild. This was before it became the Screen Actors Guild slash SAG AFTRA. So AFTRA being American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. This was a long time ago. So I had been in LA for a little while and I had barely started to step into doing extra work because I really didn't know anything about what it meant to be an actor. I just knew that I wanted to do acting. I think this is kind of the school of hard knocks and the very long way to go about getting the goal accomplished. So at any rate, I'd come across a background casting office that was in Hollywood, right around Melrose, and I started interning there. And so it was like exchanging my hours of office work, whatever they needed there, to get lunch and also to bump up to get favors. So favors meaning they would cast me, to do extra work, give me a heads up on when opportunities were available, as well as bump me up to what's considered a Taft-Hartley. So since I was non-union at the time, not a member of the Screen Actors Guild, then I would get bumped up to union status, which would essentially double what I was making for the day, more than double it, really. And the rates now, I'm not entirely sure what they are for doing union work. I don't think they've changed that much in the last 20 to 40 years, which is rather frightening when you think of it. But yeah, pretty kind of scary. The rates have not really changed that dramatically. And I know there's some people out there that would know more details, and we can always look that up too. But point being, I was interning there, and so I heard about doing extra work on a period piece called Carnival that was for HBO, and I was really excited to be able to do it, mainly just for the work. And then it was fun because it was a period piece. We all got to dress up and look like we were in the Great Depression, very Grapes of Wrath. They had done makeup so it looked like we had dirt on our face and things like that. And anyway, then for it, I guess at that time, and some of this may be redundant as I tell the story, but I had not been Taft-Hartley'd or bumped up on a film shoot very much. I think maybe once before at that time when I was doing the extra work on HBO's Carnival. So still pretty green, so to speak. And I remember it was fun, and then, excited to get bumped up, so that meant my pay was a little better for that day of extra work. Still struggling, it's a real hustle, and especially when you're new to all of this, like I was, not even with an agent, trying to figure out how to get headshots, and what to do about headshots, what kind of look to get, just didn't know anything. And then I want to say it was by early January, I get a letter from the Screen Actors Guild saying that based on my doing principal work on the HBO series Carnival, that I was now eligible to join the union, which I thought, in my very blonde naivete, I just thought, I'm not eligible. What are they saying? They've got things wrong. The information was sent to them wrong. It was Carol that was doing the background casting that time. Maybe she just had a slip up of paperwork or something like that. I'm going to go call Screen Actors Guild right now and correct them. So I'm calling their LA office, where we are, and just letting them know, like, hey, I got this letter in the mail. It says that I'm eligible to join the union for doing principal work on this HBO series. I've got to let you know I didn't do principal work. I was just doing extra work. And the lady at the Screen Actors Guild at the union, she's on the other end of the phone just saying, we think you're eligible. And I was like, no, honey. So it was a mistake. I really was just doing extra work. I was Taft-Hartley. She's like, we think you're eligible. And still, I'm like, no, I really am not, because this is maybe only my second time getting Taft-Hartley'd and the rules are. And she's like, honey, we think you're eligible. Okay? And then that's when it started to click. And I was like, oh. So this letter means you think I'm eligible to join the union. She's like, yes. I'm like, okay, I'll shut up now. Thank you. I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. So anyway, I hung up the phone before I incriminated myself any further with the union because they thought I was eligible, even though I was convinced it was all some kind of clerical error, something that was done erroneously, because certainly my paycheck didn't reflect that I was principal on that show, nor did my screen time. As far as I knew, it was an error. But if the union thinks you're eligible to join, you might as well just go for it, right? And I sat on it. I thought about it because I was like, I don't know. Do I want to join the union? Do I really have the money to? It's a debate. Some people do, and some people get into like the moral and ethical issues of it. But I just remember at the time, I thought it took me a while to decide whether or not I was going to join the union because of the investment, because it was well over $1,000. Right now, I don't even know how much it is. I think it might be, I'm not even going to guess. I just know it's a chunk of change. You know, it's more than most of our tax returns. And I think that year I just used my tax return to pay my union, you know, in fees and dues and stuff like that. Something else that you can think of is that there's also financial core, which is once you join the union, you can declare financial core status. That's a whole nother topic of conversation. But once I decided after that conversation, I was going to, you know, I was trying to decide whether or not I wanted to join. And I don't remember which set I was on where I was going through that thought process about whether or not do I just join now or do I wait to build up my resume? I would actually now, in hindsight, say build up your resume first before joining the union. I think the more work you can get under your belt, the better. That's my personal opinion. But at the time, I decided, after talking to different friends who had been in LA longer than I had, tried a lot more things than I had only barely, it was within months, like from October to by January, I was already getting the letter. I want to say that was the time frame. That's really quickly by a lot of people's standards as far as just doing extra work. I didn't book anything that had a speaking role on it. So, you know, nothing to write home about, just doing extra work. A lot of people, they get it because they've got a speaking role in a film or a commercial. And so, you know, it's something where it's kind of cool. And then that's why they're union eligible for it. So they're joining. And I didn't have that. So I felt like kind of a poser, I guess you could say, by joining the union with so very little under my belt. And I don't even think I had my headshots at that time. And this was when we were still all doing black and white. So getting color headshots, I don't think it was on the radar yet at this time. So I'm still like not even with black and white headshots and debating about whether or not to join the union. And I finally did. And I want to say it was on the set of The Hot Chick that starred Rob Schneider, where that was probably the first time that I was working extra work as now a union member. And I was kind of, because, you know, it was a change from what I've been doing, but I just kind of thought, I don't know if this really makes a difference. And somebody, I want to say it was in wardrobe, you know, with costumes, was giving me a little bit of a hard time about, you know, what I had, because you should get bumped up, or you should get paid as an extra, especially if you're union on a union project, if you're wearing your own wardrobe. So you're providing your own wardrobe for this big budget production. Also, if you're providing, you know, a car, so your car is seen in that scene, you're going to get bumped up for that. If there's smoking, if there's smoke on set, all these different little things, that's going to bump your rate up for the day, which makes a big difference, you know, especially when you're driving all over LA County, which is huge, to hustle to get some kind of extra work or job, or, you know, try to make some audition you can. If you're lucky enough to have an agent. So anyways, I was on the set of Hot Chick, and this guy in wardrobe was giving me a hard time about whether or not I'd get bumped up. And I was like, well, no, I know what you're doing isn't correct because I'm union, and so I should get bumped up for this, or I should get marked here and paid that. And then I remember his attitude shifted. It was like a shift like that. His attitude shifted. He's like, "God, give me your voucher." Bah, bah, bah. And then he gave it back to me. So anyway, that clued me in that, yeah, joining the union, you're going to get treated in many cases a lot better when you're doing extra work on a big production. It shouldn't be the case. We should all be treated well regardless. But yeah, you get treated better. You get paid a lot better too. So anyway, that's my story of how I became SAG eligible. And yeah, there will be more stories to come about other things that I've learned along the way with being a filmmaker and being an actor. So until next time.